if a guy cheats on you and then says he's really sorry, would you still date him? Okay, look, here's the deal. If a person cheats on you, all right, I think you should break up with them for at least 5 years. And people are like, whoa, hey, 5 years? I mean, come on, man. Everybody makes mistakes. What about forgiveness? Okay, yes, forgive. Forgive immediately. Have a very generous, merciful heart. Forgive. But forgiveness is different than trust, okay? You can completely forgive a person and not trust them at all. And that doesn't mean that you're not a forgiving person. It just means that you possess wisdom. Because just because a guy might regret that he cheated on you, that does not mean that he developed the virtue of fidelity. Because cheating is never an isolated event, right? I mean, it is always a chain reaction of 100 poor decisions. I mean, you think about David in the Old Testament. You remember David, prayed that psalm, oh God, create in me a clean heart. I'm guilty of blood guiltiness. And it's like, dude, like, what did you do? Like crying out for God. Like, if you know the story of David, I mean, he killed a man, his own troop, his own soldier, Uriah. Why would he murder one of his own troops? Well, rewind the whole story. It says in the spring was the time of the year that kings would go out with their armies to battle. David stayed behind. And as he was, after an afternoon nap, was strolling on his rooftop, and he saw Bathsheba bathing outside. It was a beautiful woman. And so he, called some of his people, like who is that? He started inquired about her, and they're like, oh, that's Bathsheba, the wife of Uriah, one of your soldiers. And he said, okay, well, why don't you go send for her? And so he sends for Bathsheba. He sleeps with her. He impregnates her. And then to kind of cover up his shame, he ends up murdering her husband, Uriah. Now, rewind this whole thing. Spring was the time that this guy was supposed to be at war with his troops, but he wasn't there. He was taking a nap, in the palace, and then going for an afternoon stroll, then lusting after a woman. And he doesn't leave it there. He inquires about her. Oh, well, who's that? And this. Then not only does he not leave it there, he then goes after her. Oh, can you go send her to me? And so you'll see that act of adultery was not just an instantaneous thing. It was a chain reaction. And why I'm going into all this stuff is because a lot of guys will say, oh, I know I cheated on you, but like it just kind of happened. And like I've even had girls tell me, well, should I break up with him? Because he told me it was an accident. Like, accident? Like, how does that accidentally happen? Like, was he rollerblading or something? And like they just like collide? Like how, metaphysically, how would that actually happen? Is an accident? It's not an accident. It's simply the caboose after a long chain reaction that's driven by a heart of infidelity. It's not an isolated event. And I mean, I've heard all the excuses in the world from girls. Like one girl told me, Jason, but he told me that when he was kissing the other girl, he was thinking about me. Oh, no. Like, dude, why can't he think about you while being faithful to you? How come he's got to make out with another girl to think about you? And so, man, don't make any more excuses, right? And I know it's hard because you think back to the old times and it sometimes can become a competition thing. Well, I'm going to show that other girl, right? I'm going to show him who, and then it gets into all the ego and all that stuff, but you only wound yourself more in the process. In fact, my wife knows a guy in high school, apparently, who is a wrestler in high school. And he'd go off to wrestling tournaments out of state where he'd sleep with a girl out there while he's dating another girl back home and sleep with her. So apparently for spring break, God the Father thought he'd have a little bit of fun. So girl number one goes down to Cancun, Mexico. She's sitting in a bar stool. She leans over to the girl next to her and she's like, oh, how you doing? She's like, I'm having a good spring break. Oh, me too. But I miss my boyfriend. Oh, me too. Yeah, my boyfriend's a wrestler. My boyfriend's a wrestler too. Yeah, my boyfriend's name is John. That's my boyfriend's name. We have so much in common. Girl pulls out her cell phone. Look, here's a picture of my boyfriend. That's my boyfriend. No kidding. It's the same dude. So first girl gets on the phone like, John, do you love me? He's like, oh, I love you. Girl's on the other line. Well, then, John, do you love me? Boom. Hung up the phone. Didn't pick it up for like 2 to 3 weeks. One of the girls is smart enough. She said, look, I ain't got time to train a dog. And she left. The other girl clung to him and she's only gotten burned ever since. It's why you need to have the wisdom to let go when everyone who loves you tells you get out. And so if he's made some mistakes, if he's cheated on you, I encourage you to forgive this man, but I encourage you also not to pursue this relationship because he needs healing. He needs to grow up. He needs to mature and he needs to learn the virtue of fidelity, which is not something you pick up overnight because you got caught, all right? And so have the courage to let go, because I think in the end, God longs for you to have a relationship where your heart feels cherished, protected, and safe, because as a daughter of the King of Heaven, you simply desire nothing less. And so, subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Also to our podcast, Lust is Boring. Subscribe there. And as I had mentioned earlier in the show, don't forget, ladies, to get the book, 10 Guys You're Better Off Without. It's a free ebook at chastity.com in the show notes. And then fellas, do not forget to get the new book Forged that Matt Fradd and I are coming out with. Now, if you pre-order now, we will send you a second copy for free. So you can do that, whether it's father, son, a buddy at the dorm, to do this journey together. All the links to all the stuff is in the show notes, as well as where you can try out the Hollow app for 14 days for free. You're going to love it. God bless you. Be assured of my prayers.